listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching their way through Sex and the City for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
My name is Jon Sieber.
And we have a guest with us that we're very excited about today. She was on The Bachelor season 22. I got it. Please welcome Jacqueline Trumbull.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's exciting.
I'm also watching my way through Sex and the City for the first time.
Wait, really? So you mentioned this a second ago. How many episodes have you seen?
Probably like 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So today's episode is going to be a bit of a spoiler situation.
Yeah, well, so I started watching it like a year ago and it wasn't that good, so I quit.
Oh, shots fired.
Do you
start with season 1?
Yeah,
Yes,
where were
I
you
did.
watching it?
Okay.
I was watching it at my home. I'm still open to it.
Okay.
I'm still open to it. Yeah.
Okay.
What is one thing you could remember from the series that you could say, good or bad?
So what I've learned is that high-powered career women walk around Manhattan with stiletto heels on. And I've always wanted to be that kind of woman, but I have failed to do so far.
Do you?
That is correct.
When you say high-powered career woman, is there anyone you're referring to specifically?
Isn't Samantha really high-powered?
Yeah, she's pretty
And
high-powered.
Miranda. Miranda's pretty high powered.
Yeah, there you go.
I would say
Charlotte's pretty well respected in her field. I mean, they all are.
I would say they're all pretty high-powered career women.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlotte like owns an art gallery or runs an art gallery. Runs an art gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say they all
If
wear
they were
heels,
all
too.
at the top of their game in one episode, just nailing it out of the park, wouldn't you say that Carrie would be at the bottom of those, reporting on those? If you were at the top of an art gallery's game, at the top of the
Partner in a law firm.
partner in a law firm,
Owning your
PR
own PR
agency,
business.
and then you have, it would be Carrie reporting
columnist.
on all that.
Uh-huh.
But if
That's a
you-
great question.
So you're saying who would be the bottom of the level of the 4 jobs?
Well, he said it was a great question. So, John, why don't you take this?
I just think I would love to hear what people have to think. That's comparing like all of those different careers and you have to find some sort of metric to rate which one is above the other.
Depends on what you think is worth what, but I think Carrie would be reporting on all of their shit.
Well, I think she'd be reporting on all of it if it was like if it was relevant to her story. I think if she was
Yeah, but
like
you
I don't
can-
think
you
Carrie
can
just
break that.
reports on their other jobs.
Yeah,
Like
I know she doesn't, but it's like you could break everyone's life down to just a
just a rubric,
number.
just a metric.
just a number. You 3, John.
You're basically doing the Enneagram right now.
No, but I do think I think that this is saying this. Everyone else kind of has a thing Carrie is locked into her thing as being a columnist.
Right.
If Carrie was at her peak of being a writer,
Right.
surely it could switch.
You're taking down Pulitzer.
Well,
left and right, man.
but think about this, and I don't know if you've seen these episodes or not, but we just got back from where Carrie was in
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, and she pitched her
West Coast City,
West Coast City, California is where to party. California is where to party. That was California Love,
Yes.
if you guys know that song. California knows how to party. But she was pitching her column as a movie. So I feel like that's how you get higher as a writer.
I don't think one's higher than the other.
I agree. I think they're 4 different.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jacqueline, where are you from?
Originally West Virginia.
All right.
Okay.
And how long have you lived in New York?
About 3 years and
Okay.
some change.
What brought you here?
I really liked it. In college, I was interning in like tech companies. And I got into this career, UX design, and I really thought that I loved it. But what I loved was partying with my boss. And so when I had to do it in Virginia, I realized how absolutely terrible it was. But I wasn't wrong about the New York thing. So I moved here and got a job.
So you just like thought you'd want to party in New York rather than Virginia and decided to move out here?
Well, I mean, I had done this whole career switcheroo, but New York was always like my bronze ring. Like it was the reason for everything, which is ironic because I'm moving in like a month.
Wait, you're moving out? You're moving out of New York in a month?
I'm moving to North Carolina. Yeah.
Wait, where in North Carolina?
I'm moving to North Carolina.
Where?
Durham.
Oh, I'm from Charlotte, and I went to school in Chapel Hill.
Did you go to UNC?
I went to UNC.
Yeah, I'm going to Duke.
You're going? Wait, are you going to school at Duke?
Yeah, I'm getting my PhD there.
What is your PhD in?
Clinical psychology.
Clinical
Because
psychology.
unless your PhD is in UNC, you're not going to be friends.
I mean, there is a weird thing where like I went there for undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
When you go and you have. Do you care about college basketball?
Yeah, so my mom and sister went to Duke, and so I was like born and raised a crazy Duke fan.
So then we are actually enemies.
But then
Before I was going to say,
but then they rejected me undergrad, so I've spent the last 10 years hating Duke
really?
and not hating UNC.
You can put your nunchucks away, Corey.
Okay,
It's
I'm
fine.
good to
It's
go
fine.
now. Did you
So
watch
now
the game the other day? This will come out 2 weeks after Duke almost didn't get in at the Sweet 16.
Well, right, so last night I watched the first 10 minutes of the game and then went and got ramen instead. But it was the first It was the first 10 minutes I've rooted for Duke in 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
You getting ramen during that was the equivalent of everyone in our podcast, what they're doing right now. They're just
No, but wait, here's my one basketball question to bookend it is who did you cheer for? Did you cheer for anyone before like when you said you hated Duke for 10 years?
Oh yeah. I went to University of Virginia. So I've been rooting for, and then also West Virginia University is my
So
big
you're like ACC and East Coast strong with all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm more of a
Totally.
football fan though.
Is University of Virginia UVA?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure so I didn't make a fool of myself. But
Okay. So
we've got a smart one on the pod.
That's true.
What got you into clinical psychology?
I took inspiration from my own misery, I would say, and in UX design. And I mean, my mom's a psychiatrist, so I was like, mental health was always talked about, and that career was like always available in my mind, I guess, but I didn't want to be my mother for some reason, because now like I'm dying to end up like my mother. So
Wait, what is
fingers crossed.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I to put a grim spin on this first, I was pretty depressed for a portion of my life. And because I was thinking about that all the time anyway, I figured I might as well get paid for it. So
There you go.
yeah. And then now I'm quite happy.
That's fantastic.
That's good though. That's kind of like the hero's journey. You like kind of made it through, and now you're going back with a different like mindset to it.
If only I could still just party in New York with my boss at the same time.
Now, when you were
Who's your
partying,
boss? We need to figure out. It depends.
He
I
also
think you were out with them tonight.
it sounds like Kevin was hanging out with the boss.
I gave up alcohol for Lent.
How'd that go today?
I think
Except I didn't drink last night because
because
a friend of mine
I
said
didn't drink last night.
because a friend of mine said he is leaving New York and he wanted to take me out for lunch for a long time, and so we had a very fun lunch.
It was like
We went to Buttermilk Channel.
it was just like someone was like, "Yeah, Dorothy, tell me what you did today with my freaking inheritance." We had a very fun lunch.
we had a very fun lunch, and we went to Buttermilk Channel.
did?
Solange and Beyonce have eaten there
Together?
multiple times.
They've eaten there
They were
together.
there today?
Haven't they gotten in fights in elevators before?
Yeah, they're sisters. Have you ever been in a fight with your sister?
So-
Yeah, Corey, have you?
I have been in a fight
It's
with my
a
sister.
real question. It's a real question. It's just a question.
Oh gosh.
No, it's Jacqueline. Let's get this back on you. You've been depressed. Tell us about it.
it's a bummer. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It seems like it is. I don't feel like in Sex and the City they've really dealt with depression that much, actually.
Is that true? I mean, not like a deep dive into it.
Not a
but
head
I
on.
feel like
I feel like that's
They've dealt with breakups.
not depression.
I don't think anyone is able to be depressed in that show, because as soon as they would start like sharing their feelings, Carrie would hijack the conversation and be like, a little bit more about me.
Yeah, that's true. I have a question.
Shoot.
Before you were going to, or maybe this was actually the same time that you were thinking about doing a PhD. You were on The Bachelor.
Yes.
You were the first person that we've had that's been on The Bachelor. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? We also want to know, I guess, two things. One, well, yeah, first of all, just can you tell us a little bit about being on The Bachelor, what that was like, how that happened?
Sure. I loved being on The Bachelor. Filming was super, super fun. Don't have enough good things to say about the actual, process of being on the show. I got on because my friend nominated me
Okay.
semi without my consent, but I'm very glad that he did. And then 6 months later, I just got a call. I was at my new job.
Does that mean he sent in a tape of you, or what does it mean that he nominated you?
Well, no, this is what was wild, was that he sent in like a photo or maybe 3 photos and then a paragraph. Should I keep?
Yeah, keep going. We're having some weird audio issues, and I don't know if anyone out there has seen A Quiet Place before, but there's something in A Quiet Place where the little girl she has these like hearing aids, and every time she gets near a certain thing, it will make them feedback, and that's how she defeats the monsters.
Oh,
So
Spoiler
maybe,
alert.
sorry if you haven't seen A Quiet Place.
well, have you ever seen The Magicians?
No.
Okay, so The Magicians is a show about magic. It's really good and bad at the same time. And they just like, they come up with like anything and they're like, this is a solution. Like it's the most illogical thing ever. But at one point, this chick is searching for this like evil creature, and cats explode when they get too near the evil creature. So she just keeps having these cats. It's a very similar concept.
Okay. There you
Yeah.
How
go.
is that bad? That sounds awesome.
Right. So it's really
Yeah,
good.
you're
I
a
love
dog
this
person.
show.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Exploding cats. So yeah, I mean, it
So
was,
yeah, you got nominated. You get on The Bachelor.
so I got a call like right when I started my new job, and this was like, super important for my career. And then, so I'm like feeling like I'm going places. I've got this great Mount Sinai gig, and then reality TV calls, and they're like, we want you to date some dude for 2 months on TV with a bunch of other women. And I was a fan of the show, so I really wanted to do it. But I knew it was going to kind of fuck up my life a little bit.
Right.
Which it ended up not really doing that so much. It was like pretty amazing.
And how long was it? It was 2 months out of your life?
2 months. I was there for 5 weeks.
Okay.
Wow.
And where were you?
We started in LA in a
Okay.
mansion, and then we went to Lake Tahoe, Fort Lauderdale, Paris, Italy, and then I left before they went to Peru.
Good Lord. Wait, can you
Wow.
just tell us a little bit about, because I think we've all seen The Bachelor and we've seen reality shows.
I've never seen The
John
Bachelor.
hasn't.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do the Bachelor Boys after this. We'll watch
Yes.
every season of The Bachelor.
We would
Yeah.
fucking destroy that. That would just be, and destroy in a way that like we would crush it, as in good.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've seen it in the background, and I think I know the premise.
Also, you should know, like we talked about like music, and John doesn't really know anything
I
about
don't
music.
do music either.
There's
I'm more
nothing.
into
I don't know anything about music
exploding-
either.
There's
I'm
nothing
more
really
into
of its-
magicians.
Well, yeah. Exploding cats. I mean, that's so much better than.
So, but I know there's like there's one person, and then there's a big group of people that try to marry that person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it switches between a male and female.
Yeah, so there's a Bachelorette too.
Okay,
Yeah.
So how many?
I'm there, I know it.
So my question was, because we've for people that know the concept, like what John just described,
I'm here.
he's
I'm
here.
Tracking.
He gets it.
I know my tunes.
Well, you know your tunes. Shout out to one of our Patreon episodes. What was like your day-to-day experience like? Are you guys all sleeping in like a bunkhouse? Do you all have your own rooms? Did they just put you in the yard? What is it like?
It gets better as the show goes on, but at first it's like 10 to a room in bunk beds.
Really? So it's like summer camp for bachelorettes.
Yeah, a
or
kid-
summer camp for women trying to date the bachelor.
On The Bachelorette, a guy fell off the top bunk and ended up in the ER with like a broken nose.
Gosh.
Pretty funny. Yeah.
That's wild. So wait, so how many? So you got through? How you started in a room with 10? What did it
Yeah.
eventually get down to for you?
Well, so it started with 29 women, but it was just that there were like 10 women in a single room. I self-eliminated when there were 7 of us left.
What does that mean?
I broke up with the Bachelor.
So you kind of committed, like
Damn,
you
and that's the
committed.
type of shit we have on the Bradshaw Boys. We fucking have someone who's like, I'm out. Bye.
You just decided that you were just like, I don't want to do this.
I had a work conflict and I was like not going to marry the
Sure.
Bachelor.
Yeah.
So it was, I left right at the point where we were supposed to take him home to our families.
Okay.
And it would have been pretty disingenuous if I was like, hey, mom and dad, like, here's this dude that I'm definitely not going to end up with.
Yeah.
But can we just like spend an evening together?
I don't mean to get things too heavy, but like, how are you doing since that?
How am I doing since that
Yeah.
with the breakup?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been hard to regret it every single day for a year and a half.
Are you in contact with anyone still that you did the show with?
Oh yeah, tons of people.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I just went to his wedding in January.
So
yeah.
did he marry one of the women from the show?
They're having a baby.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Was that just this is an interesting thing because like you knew you were going into a show and you were like reality TV came calling and it was a great experience. Was there ever a weird thing where you were like, I might come out of this marrying someone? Was that a weird thing to sit with?
I mean, very few of them actually get married. So, I mean, it would have been cool. I mean, I went in, and I think a lot of people do this very, very cynical, being like, there's no way I'm going to like this dude. And I really didn't think I was actually going to like The Bachelor. Then they announced it was Ari, and I felt a little bit better, but I still... I mean,
what? Because you knew who Ari was?
Yeah, I'd seen him on a previous season, and at least I found him attractive and endearing, and you know, he's cool. He's like a Formula One race car driver. He's Dutch. He's like lives, you know, he's been all over the world. You know, so he's had a kind of an unusual life, which I found intriguing. I just, it's hard to just walk into a room and there's your husband. You know, like you can't roll the dice on that.
Right.
But I guess I was open to an engagement, even though there's something a little bit fake feeling about Bachelor engagements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not that like, I don't hold that many things super sacred. Sure. So I was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah. But
except
it seems
for
like
Formula One racing. Yeah. That's the one that when I saw you, I was like, she is a fan of Formula One. And I can see that on her face. She just wears that on her sleeve.
When we first met her, it was Formula One.
Well,
that's why I knew you were an Ari guy.
This goes back into my extreme regret over the past year and a half.
yeah.
How I flip through Instagram photos and cry.
This is why you're going to do a PhD and
to get over it.
Yeah, I understand
so who
that.
did you get married to? Someone from The Bachelor?
Yeah, someone great. A girl named Lauren.
Nice. And you?
Oh yeah, Lauren.
What was the was the wedding televised or was it?
It was not.
There was a lot of Us Weekly photographers.
But it was extremely sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think their napkins were sponsored. Like it was. I don't know what they had to pay for, but
Peroni.
Was it an Italian wedding? He's Dutch. It'd be a Stella Artois wedding.
Is that Dutch?
Well, you weren't at the wedding. You didn't know. You didn't read
Amsterdam. I don't know. Did you?
But Kevin does
sit down.
Peroni makes a really hell of a thick napkin. They make a really
he does. I think it's more. I think it's more this Peroni makes a good noise. Peroni.
What episode are we watching?
We are watching. Oh, sorry, I just hit the microphone with my phone. We're watching Frenemies, season 3, episode 16. Frenemies.
Ooh, I feel like that might be a good theme.
That's true.
That makes sense.
Because it would be great to talk to you about having to be professionally catty for 2 months of your life.
Okay.
I mean, maybe you didn't have to be, but you would know more.
I resisted it because I knew I had professional aspirations.
See, this is good television where they were like, we want to talk to Jacqueline about how she felt about Christy. And then you would be like, actually, I'm going to do a PhD in depression and psychological studies. So when I talked to Christy, I felt like I was able to actually see what was going on with her, and actually we became really good friends.
Yeah,
I feel like
they're not interested in that.
Well, that's true. Have you ever watched the TV show Unreal before?
I watched the first season. Yeah.
Okay.
I do not think it's accurate.
Interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Can you give us a 30-second thing? Why not? And then we'll go to the app.
I think the relationships are actually real, and the producers are manipulating you, but in you can kind of see through it, and they ultimately don't want to ruin your lives.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also just less messy. They're more professional. They've got their shit together, unlike the people on Unreal. Yeah.
You heard it here. All right, let's go watch Frenemies.
Bye. Back.
Episode 46, Frenemies. Carrie teaches at the Learning Annex, but her course on how to find love is very unsuccessful, just like her love life. Miranda dates one of Carrie's ex-boyfriends, known as Mr. Asshole, who she meets at the funeral of a dead, never-met blind date. Charlotte gets sexually frustrated with her sex life with Trey, and Samantha gets in a fight with Charlotte about her attitude toward sex. And now, back to the boys.
And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody. Frenemies.
Madonna and the whore.
What?
That was the theme of this episode, Madonna and the whore.
I didn't catch that.
Madonna and the whore, like the virgin.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know my tunes.
You don't know your tunes.
Frenemies was the theme of this episode.
Yep.
I got my trusty paper right here. We'll do a quick review.
John, why don't you give us a quick recap?
I feel like this episode should have been called "I'll Walk a Mile in Their Shoes."
Okay.
Because everyone was walking a mile in someone else's shoes. Charlotte essentially had a Samantha experience. Charlotte went out. Her and Trey are still unable to get the sailboat sailing up. What do you want to say?
He
What
can't
do they
get
call it?
I think
can't
it's
get
get
the
the
sail.
sailboat sailing is the
Get the
term.
sailboat
that's what it
sailing.
is.
It's stuck
I
in
was
the
going to
harbor.
say he couldn't get his
Not in the
mast
harbor.
to full.
So she goes
Tilt.
back
I don't
to
know.
her sorority girls, and she realizes that
They're lame.
they're a little bit more prude than she is, and she's the Samantha of her group.
Mm-hmm.
That's important because her and Samantha had a fight, and Samantha meets Claire Ann. Claire Ann is a bit of a bobcat. She's a bit of a puma, if you know what I mean. She
a puma.
yeah, she's a hardcore puma. Claire Ann
just puma.
Claire Ann makes Samantha look like Charlotte, and then.
I would
And then
agree
we
with
have
that.
Miranda started going on. Her date stood her up because he died. So she went out with...
Which was not his fault. when
Not
you
his
think
fault.
about
He had
it.
a heart attack. So, I mean, maybe he had high
he
cholesterol.
could have
He
ran
lowered
more
it. He
earlier
could have
in
ran.
life and-
Maybe he was a smoker. I don't know. Maybe he just had bad heart. But he, at his wake, Miranda meets one of Carrie's ex-boyfriends, Jim. There was a lot of names in this one.
Yeah.
And they go out. So Miranda and this guy go out, and she doesn't think he's going to be an asshole. Turns out Carrie was right. He was still an asshole to her all along. And Carrie, kind of like the lowest plot line out of all three of them, or all four of them.
Yeah.
She was teaching a class on how and where to meet men, and she became her own frenemy. She was riddled with self-doubt and not being able to teach this class. She ends up hitting it out of the park, though. She does some boots in the ground men meeting.
She true.
John, you were so jealous of Carrie. You're just like, we got it.
Listen, guys, I love boots on the ground. Anything boots
Yeah.
on the ground. I'm a boots on the ground guy.
You
wanna
can't
get something
believe in
done?
this social media world, in this digital world.
I just don't understand it.
At the end of the day-
boots on the ground.
You go to a place.
You
You
go to
say
a place.
we're going to be here. We're
Hey.
going there.
Well, and it makes
One-to-one
sense.
connections.
Yeah, because you've worked in sales before, John.
I have worked I did door to door for Comcast.
Really?
Sell me
Absolutely.
Comcast right now.
Hey, how much is your Spectrum bill?
We don't
You want
take
Comcast?
any other Comcast.
Hold on. Try my product. You're sold, right?
Holy shit.
Try my product.
Dude, that's
all it takes.
insane, dude.
No, I got
You're
chased off of a guy's lawn with a baseball bat.
Really?
Try my product, sir. Try my product.
There was this internship that came onto UVA and tried to sell us on like their company. And I went to an interview and it was very obviously just door to door selling magazines.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
I remember
They
that.
were like marketing it.
You remember
as, like,
Cutco knives? You guys
No.
remember that?
No.
Yeah.
There's a knife company called Cutco Knives, and they're really, really good knives. And they have a whole sales pitch where like they have some like kitchen grade scissors you can cut a penny in half with, and they'll like do all these crazy
Wow.
cuts and stuff like that. And that's like a whole door to door. They get a lot of kids from college that are like summer
Trying their product.
summer
Yeah.
job. You want to make $20,000? Try our product.
Yeah,
go
dude.
door to door.
Try my product is going to be the name of my sales book that I come out with one day.
Try my product.
Try my product.
Cutco's a big thing, though.
It's huge.
The thing with Cutco, though, is that their shit is the real deal.
Dude, I have 4 stitches in this finger from a Cutco knife when I was carrying a loaf of bread and a Cutco knife at my parents' house one time, bumped into a door frame. That stuff's sharp.
Dude,
I had to end up
someone sold your parents on those Cutco
Hey,
knives?
I tried their
product?
I tried their product and I had to go to the hospital afterward. Yeah.
All right, let's dive into
Let's
it.
dive into this app.
Trey and Charlotte. What are we thinking with Trey and Charlotte? In my opinion, that seemed to be like the main storyline. And Jacqueline, you were asking about.
First of all,
you're not familiar with.
you've never seen this episode.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily know what's going on.
No, yeah, I've never met Trey before. I just know that actor plays losers in literally everything that he's in.
But also he's in Twin Peaks and he just plays
Not a loser?
A
he
winner?
he plays the
There's a
biggest
winner?
weirdo detective. Yeah, he's the
Is
main
he a
guy.
loser?
I don't know if anyone's necessarily a
Starving?
loser or a winner.
Dinner?
He always plays the
He does an
guy
E40?
that's like dates the main character for a little bit, but then
Right.
some terrible flaws. Like in How I Met Your Mother, he's the weird captain, and then in Desperate Housewives, he's also some kind of
That's right.
like yeah.
What's that typecast? What is there a name for that character, Cory?
like beta male.
Just beta male.
Yeah.
I love that.
Beta male. I think you nailed that. That's
What'd you
probably
say, Kevin?
Slug.
a slug.
You said slut. You're like, just a slut.
No, I slug. I just think of like someone like that that's just like, I don't have an opinion.
He would make a great juror.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, who?
I can't decide.
Trey,
I feel like
he would be just the prosecutor and the defender would just love to get him on the juror stand.
Did you guys watch 30 Rock like religiously? You know, there's a whole running joke in 30 Rock about the pilot that Jenna was in, and it's called The Rural Juror. And no one ever knows the name because they're like, what is it called? Rural Juror? It's the Rural Juror. It's like the Rural Juror.
Rural juror.
So yeah, Trey.
you have a.
Trey's I think beta male is probably the best way to describe that.
Beta, yeah. Trade a male.
Trade male.
The trade mail. Do you have a Sex and the City character you would most, just after watching this episode, that you would say I'm most spiritually connected to?
Probably Carrie.
Really?
I think that's one of my problems with the show, though, is that I don't really relate to these women super well, but probably Carrie.
Do you relate to any parts
Because you're
of them?
3-dimensional, and they're.
I mean, right. Yeah, that is kind of how they're portrayed, though. Like, I have very little in common with Charlotte. I just know her as Kim Cattrall. What's her name?
Samantha.
Samantha. Yeah. All I know her at is this, like, the older woman cougar sex fiend. So,
Right.
I mean, I can't really, I wish I could claim to be more like Samantha, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the lawyer,
Miranda.
I don't really get that much of a sense of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because we've talked about this in today's day and age. People are very much like, I'm a Miranda because she's looked at as like the kicking ass career women.
Yeah.
Like
I think a
more
lot
feminist.
of people these days put more on her than is there, based on where we're at in season 3. I think it's like, besides just caring about her job, sometimes it's like people put a lot more on her than is actually there, besides her being like, I'm a lawyer. And it's like, she cares about her job.
Well, I think it's like Carrie and Charlotte could both be like Disney princesses, and Samantha is just typecast as like the slut.
Yeah.
And Miranda's the only one who's like actually analytical about why she's feeling things and if she's feeling things. And she can still get swept away in that stuff, but she's the one who's actually like a little bit introspective about her decisions. I think that's like in this day and age, that's like seen as respectable.
I guess there's a way that you could look at Miranda like wanting to have it all in the sense that she's analytical and a career woman, but does have moments of getting not swept up in, but like moments of caring about emotion and love in a relationship. And from like a more today perspective, you could say that's wanting to have it all, because she's super analytical about like what she wants her life to be outside of relationships.
But Carrie isn't? Because she's the one who writes and analyzes dating. So I'm genuinely.
No. It's a good question. I feel like they're kind of opposite sides of this, or two sides of a coin, where Carrie is much more of a romantic. So she writes about that stuff and analyzes it, but from a romantic point of view. Miranda is the one who is, and I guess I say like in our current culture where there's like all those books like You Are a Badass and like Unleash Your Inner Self. Miranda like bought her own apartment, is like made partner in her firm, is also wanting to date, and I guess they're all kind of wanting to date on their own terms. But Miranda's like more career forward, but then also like I can also be a romantic.
Yeah.
Canary in the coal mine. Carrie's more, she's career forward, but leads with her romanticism.
Yeah.
She's also the main character of the show, and that's kind of like what it makes. That was what makes sense, I guess. Like I don't know I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Like in an aesthetic today, it seems like it's not necessarily like leading with romanticism, but it seems like in an aesthetic today, people are like, you lead with whatever you want to lead. It's like leading with your own power. And that's what it seems like Miranda's thing is.
Yeah. I certainly spend a lot more time thinking about my love life than my career, but I definitely prioritize career over love life. So
Interesting.
Did that happen? Was that before you were on The Bachelor, or was that as a result you think of being on that show?
Sorry, what?
Like you spending the amount of time you spend thinking about your love life? Was that something that was occurring before your involvement with that, or is that something after, or both?
I've been trying to think about how The Bachelor like changed how I approach love, I think at first I was like, I'm going to be super confident about just telling men that I'm looking for serious commitment and relationship and everything. I feel like we're in a
There's just
station.
people
There's just people walking in the hallway. There's people in the hallway behind us.
And you know what?
I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Us, but Kevin and I just saw it. And anytime it's the new Jordan Peele movie, and there's a lot of like surprising deaths that happen. But anytime I, it's a spoiler alert, but it's also a horror movie. Anytime I hear just random people down a hallway now, since we saw that movie, I'm always like, oh my gosh, we're about to get used. We're about to get used hardcore.
I would kind of enjoy that obituary though. Like Jacqueline,
They got used.
Jacqueline was axed to death while being on a podcast about dudes watching Sex and the City.
That's true, yeah. Jacqueline was talking about thinking about her romantic life, but leading with her professional life, and then she straight up got used.
I saw her text messages disturbing, saying, should I do this? Should I not? Finally telling her friend, I guess what's the worst that could happen? This was the worst that could happen.
She got used. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry, I was on the hallway telling people to be quiet.
Yeah,
so
John was telling them guys not to kill
But I'm
us.
also way too scared to see the movie Us, by the way.
Dude,
Yeah,
it
me
is
too now.
Way too
Very
scared. There's a
good.
website called where'sthejump.com and it'll tell you where all the scary parts in scary movies are.
Yeah.
I frequent that all the time.
Did you end up doing it for
That's
us? Because we were
hilarious.
talking about that last weekend.
No, I did it for everything else. I did it for when I had to go see his other movie. What's it called?
Oh, Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out. It's way too scary.
I'll say this.
Way too scary.
I'll say
for me.
this.
For that.
Great movies, but
for Philomena.
Hey, why don't you?
what's
Judi
Philomena?
Dench film.
I would definitely do it for Philomena.
Us is definitely scarier than Get Out. but
I don't
not
know
as-
if I'll be
but
able to do it then.
Not as scary.
I get so scared.
Not as
I
scary
don't
as
like horror
Philomena.
Did it for
movies.
the Green Book. Like, it's terrifying. The themes of that film. Okay,
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Trumbleina.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I feel like I'm kind of back to square one. Like, I don't think I learned anything.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, love life is more enjoyable to think about than career because it's not difficult. I mean, it's like an overcomable challenge.
Interesting. Because I would say, if you look at it from the characters of the show, I think some people would think it's an overcomable challenge, and other would be like, it's the ultimate challenge.
Okay, yeah, I know. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess
I think it's just, I think you can look at it both ways. I'm not trying to disprove you.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer.
I don't
think
know
it's
if there
just
is
kinda
either.
how
No, I
an
just-
individual's wired.
as soon as I said that, I was like, I don't even think I agree with that.
Welcome to our podcast. We
Yeah.
all say stuff all the time we disagree with. That's just kind of the theme of the show here.
Yeah, 100%.
I just mean it's easier to think about your own relationships than about something so outside yourself as psychology or science or something like that. So it's always going to be kind of enjoyable to think about. That's the overcomable. Like, you can always develop hypotheses and test them versus actually having to go out and like acquire new knowledge. That's like heavy and sometimes boring and difficult. But dating, I mean, it's fun. That's why people put off marriage as long as possible, I guess, including myself.
Do you feel like, as a woman who's lived in New York for a few years,
Yeah.
do you feel like dating in New York is fun? And here's my thing going into this, is that I hear from women, but also just people in New York, that they're like, oh, it's fun, but everyone in New York is kind of looking for something that they could get. Like, they're always looking for something a little bit better. So it makes dating hard. It's hard for people to commit. Do you feel like it's fun in New York?
I thought it was way more fun a couple of years ago. And I don't know if that's because I'm looking for something more serious now or because the way I've been dating has changed. But I do think a few years ago, I was meeting men out in the wild a lot more often. And
That
Some
was
boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
yeah. And I was more just, I think I had more enthusiasm about going out and meeting new people.
Yeah.
And now at 27, do you ever like, you walk down a street, see a party or see a bar, and you point out and you're like, I know exactly what an hour in that place would feel like.
Oh, yeah.
I know
so
exactly.
much.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I went to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier. I went to watch a basketball game yesterday, and I was super picky about where to watch a basketball game because I was like, I know this place is going to be too expensive. This place is going to be too
Yeah.
crowded. And I'm like, I just want this experience.
And
Yeah.
as someone who went to Olive Garden outside of JFK yesterday, let me
Thank
tell
you.
you, an hour inside Olive Garden is exactly what you think an hour inside Olive Garden's like. And
Amazing. amazing.
Nothing changed.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Which is
I love
quote,
every second of it.
fucking awesome, unquote.
I took the tour of Italy. I had unlimited salad. I had unlimited breadsticks. I had a Peroni. It was the best, but nothing in that place has changed since high school.
Yo, that shit was like $7.99 though when I was in high
Yeah,
school.
it used to be way cheaper.
I mean, it's $18.99 now, but still.
In New York,
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
In other places, it's still.
You take a tour of Italy in a nice New York restaurant, you're paying $43.99 minimum.
That's a good point.
I
John, when you go
I
ahead.
totally know what you mean though, because there are times that it's like I always love a good time. That's like just like, but now it's way more focused on like instead of meeting new randos, it's like the people that I know and love.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a good time with the people I know and love. Get out of here. That's it. And new like I guess, I don't know, not untested, but just like the random experiences that a lot of, I guess Sex and the City, the first season, a lot of that is like, oh, that's fun when you're meeting new randos and like having crazy experiences. And I do feel like when you're a little older, that's the same thing. That's like, oh, you know what's really fun is the people that you know and love throwing in a fun situation to a new place or a new thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, same with dating.
I was living in South Carolina before I moved to New York, but I had interned in the summer several times, partying with my boss. And I remember
Love this guy.
friends would be. This was a specific memory I had. This guy was like, "Oh yeah, I went to a birthday party, and there were all these like blown up flamingos in a limo." And I was like, "God damn, I have to move to New York. I have to experience that." And now, even a limo filled with blown up flamingos, I'm like, I know exactly what an hour there would feel like.
That's so funny.
That's so true, though.
Yeah.
You're right. You know exactly what it'd be like.
And there's days and times when I'd be down with flamingos in the limo.
Right.
But you know exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And so that's really smart.
I mean, in New York, it's like you have a million conversations with new people, and a lot of them same. But I feel like I've had the same fucking conversation like 1,000 times at this point over the past 6 months, and I just want to meet somebody with meaning.
Well,
damn.
But I feel like that's someone who's probably been here and like been through it a little bit. Because I always like said that I felt like your first couple years in New York, if you stayed for a little bit, it after the first year or so, and this could be said for maybe other cities too, but like it kind of feels like your freshman year of college or your freshman year of high school, where you meet all these people and you're like, oh my gosh, for all these experiences. And then like a year later, you're like, I don't know where any of those people are.
Yeah.
I found my real friends.
El Paso.
It's the same in El Paso.
That's what everyone always
New
says
York
about
and El Paso.
Tulsa.
Yeah.
Hey, Tulsans, are you out there? Show your existence now.
Kevin, I think they're called Tulsers.
Tulsers. Hey, Tulsers.
The ulcers from Tulsers. Sorry.
No,
I
but
have nothing against Tulsa. I have family from
I do.
I have family.
No, but I know.
Tulsa listeners, you are not ulcers.
You're not ulcers. We love you. Subscribe to our Patreon. Whatever.
I think.
Thank you, Tulsa listeners.
I think you're right, though.
If you're a Tulsa listener, and you
Fuck you.
No, fuck you. If you have,
We can ride this ship without the fucking.
Actually, let's get rid of all of Oklahoma. We don't need you here.
We don't need what we lost 400,000 potential people.
Get rid of them.
If you're from Oklahoma,
Turn it off.
get out.
all right. So
Took
let's
a
get back
turn.
on. Let's get back on this app.
Yeah, totally.
So okay.
Speaking of Oklahoma, I guarantee you Claire Ann was from Oklahoma.
I don't know.
She sounded
Claire
like an
Ann seemed a little
Oklahoma
She seemed a little Texas to me. She seemed like she could have been Texas.
Like big oil, big hair.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, she was I don't feel like she was Georgia. It's a different kind of South. Georgia's a little more genteel. I don't know.
Here's
Yes.
the problem with the Claire
The
Ann
orchestra.
storyline is I bought Charlotte.
Claire Ann, did we talk about who Claire Ann? You said who she was in
Yeah,
the
so Charlotte and Samantha have a fight because over Trey and Charlotte's sex life, and Samantha's like, it's just sex, just have sex, whatever. I'm on a rolling cot having sex across my apartment, which whatever. And so they get in a fight and they both kind of go their separate ways. Charlotte goes with her sorority sisters and realizes she's the Samantha of the group. Samantha meets Claire Ann fighting over a scarf at Macy's or Bloomingdale's or something like that. And I didn't believe that Claire Ann was that ridiculous to make Samantha feel like Charlotte. Did you guys get that at all?
No, I mean, they went pretty 0 to 60 when like
Yeah.
Claire Ann's like, oh, we can go meet guys. And then like in the middle of a nice restaurant, she went under the table to blow a guy.
But I don't think that would bug Samantha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't buy that either. I
Yeah.
also didn't buy that they would be arguing over a plain white scarf. These are
Yeah.
motifs
Yeah.
that keep coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's true. And also there was a little bit where like she sort of kind of looked like Kim Cattrall, but not
Yeah.
a little bit older. I don't know if
Right.
it's supposed to be like this is what you are one day or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I don't know if they would be fighting. I don't know if the like her blowing the dude in the restaurant would totally. Also, the guy that was getting blown was just his initial thing was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The acting was, whatever.
Can I
Listen,
ask a question? And this is a vulgar question.
I don't know.
but it is-
Can you?
I don't
It's
know,
a real.
can you?
So
Did you submit it to the Bradshaw Boys Instagram?
I have.
Okay, we have a fan submission from Kevin James Doyle.
So, have you ever publicly witnessed
I know it
a sex act,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
blowjob, or sex? And I'm not talking about on the street. I'm talking about as public as what we witnessed in that Sex in the City episode. Because I have.
I know.
I have.
know the story. No, I know exactly what you're going to say. We've talked about it before.
I know.
On air? Have we
I-
talked about it?
No.
All right, out with it, Kev. Let's go. Let's hear it.
We
I
have
was
talked
at
about it
a
on air with
bar
someone.
in Midtown. There's a stand-up show in the back, and close to
Do you
the
like
door-
comedy?
But it was just like someone inside the show, and it was a bustling Tuesday night bar, and the dude that was on stage was like telling a joke that he's just like, yeah, he's like, do you guys see the couple outside? Some girls just like blowing this dude, and then a few people at the place got interested and walked out, and there's just a girl straight up blowing a dude. They were both clearly worked at like Morgan Stanley.
That's awesome.
They had that classic Morgan Stanley blowjob stance.
I mean, they were straight in Midtown.
Well, they were clearly straight because there was a guy and a girl
Well,
doing
yeah.
stuff. That was a
Do
play.
you have
straight.
has that ever happened? This is relating to the episode, so I'm not a fucking weirdo for bringing it up.
You've told this story to me before.
You don't have to get angry.
You don't have to get mad.
Has it happened?
No, it hasn't happened.
Do you know who? You remember when we talked to those people at Tortilla Flats?
Yeah.
And one of them said he had hooked up behind a dumpster outside
That's
Tortilla
true.
Flats.
But this was
maybe it was
This is
them.
in the bar. Yeah.
This
yeah.
was-
in the Irish exit.
halogen lighting.
That's
That
awesome.
it was. That's one of the things in Sex and the City. I'd be like, this is absurd.
Yeah.
But then seeing that, I was just like, anything can happen at any moment in this crazy town. Not in Tulsa.
God, New York really is a land of dreams.
It really
Yeah.
is a land of dreams.
That wasn't.
It really is.
And that couple, if you're listening, you achieved so many dreams.
Well, I'm also going to bring it back to what we learned from Jennifer Case Armstrong, that the only thing that happens in the show is something that has happened to one of the writers in the show.
That's true.
So one of the writers has either witnessed that, received that, or done that to
Wait,
someone.
what?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they made a deal that everything that takes place in the show happened or was witnessed by at least one of the writers in the show.
Do you think some of them are like, listen, I really want a scene where they're rolling around an apartment in a cot. So we're going to have sex right now, rolling around an apartment in a cart so that we can put it on a
Probably,
TV show.
probably.
Yeah.
But I think it was probably like, I could see that happen. I could see, in New York, you have your beds on wheels, you have them lifted up, and I'm sure something like that happened. But
We
I
have
bet.
beds on wheels in New York. That's a common thing.
Yeah, I have
Really?
wheels.
Such
I
a
have
New York
wheels on
thing.
my.
Are
I
you
have
kidding?
wheels on
That's
my.
the most
I have a bed frame for my bed, and
How
there's
does your
wheels on
bed
it.
stay?
And I have, like, my bed used to be on wheels, and then it would be on a lifter or like one of those
Yeah,
lifter
mine- I
platforms
have
that
a-
gets stuff under it.
I have like a metal bed frame on the bed that I used to have. I had a metal bed frame, and there were wheels underneath it.
And you just like pushing it to different spots of your room.
It stays unless
Stop
you. Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
You're fucking around.
No, there's wheels on bed frames.
Yeah, at least two of us are confused. By
I'm messing around about the fact that you move it, but the majority of beds I've had, and
That's like a
mine
functionality
doesn't
thing.
now, but yeah, they have wheels.
Hey, you go buy a bed frame.
I have
Listen,
a nice
listen.
bed frame from West Elm. I don't.
Listen, if
I
you
don't-
can put wheels on
Hey, sick
something,
brag,
you
bro.
should put wheels on
Huge
something.
brag.
Huge brag.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a This is an abnormal thing to have wheels in your bed frame.
Absolutely,
pull.
100%
I have a shitty
not
bed
true.
from IKEA, but
I'll
it
look
doesn't
up
have
right now.
wheels. Like I don't think this.
No, look up a bed frame.
It's like that
You don't
gray
need to look it up.
frame
I know
with
what
some-
the ones look like, but that's not the
Hey,
norm.
Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
Not all of us can have beds from West Elm,
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Too bad.
We're not all suburban housewives.
Well, guess what? I also got some restoration hardware going on in my apartment.
Oh, shit. You got to type.
Hey, I'd read the notes on this, but I can't read them. Kappa, 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 kappa.
Oh, no. So we talked about Samantha. Let's talk about Carrie. Realistic for all of those women to show up to hear Carrie like talk about where to meet women.
I think that's a
Totally.
a thing of the time period because it was Learning Annex, which like they did Learning Annex classes all through like up to the mid 2000s in New York.
Is that the red box?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
It's
something
one
like
of the
that.
boxes,
It's one of the
though.
boxes. It's one of the free box papers on the street that was like Learning Annex. Come hear someone
Oh.
talk about writing or like sales or something like that.
Yeah, so I think that is realistic.
Okay, and I guess Carrie could probably pull a big crowd like that. I feel like she wasn't prepared at all. She came up there with like a solid 90 seconds of material and then got
totally.
nervous. Like you think that if someone's paying you $300 for a gig, you're going to put a little preparation into
You
it,
also
right?
have to anticipate the question, "Are you married?"
Exactly.
That's true.
And you have to, and to be like, I'm in
and
my
have
mid
a
30s and
decent
I'm not,
response.
but this is like my experience. Totally.
I would say this. One of the most realistic things on the show has been someone going to Los Angeles thinking that their career is in a game change moment and then having to come back to New York and then make $300 talking to a bunch of people that want to try and be writers and being like, I need that money.
True.
That's the most realistic because the episode before this was just them in Los Angeles. So
You guys, I got big news.
what?
My wife just texted me as we were as you were telling that awesome story.
Thanks, man.
And today is Sarah Jessica Parker's birthday.
Wow.
Thank you for the text, Katie.
Wow.
March 25th,
Gosh.
1965.
No.
Carrie
way.
Bradshaw herself came into this world.
Shit.
No
Happy
way.
birthday.
Crazy.
Wow.
She's like 54.
54. She looks fantabulous. Looks great.
Yeah. She could do an Annex Learning Center workshop right now.
She could do
Yeah.
a Stella Artois commercial with the dude. She could do that too.
well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Sarah
Happy
Jessica
JP.
Parker.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Sarah Jessica Parker.
That's it.
That's
that
it. We
Was
just
my
want to
thing.
say happy birthday. Do you guys want to sing?
We don't need to
What are
sing.
you sing? What is that?
Hey,
All right.
Carrie.
Happy birthday.
Take care. It's Kevin.
Uh huh.
Hey, Carrie, this is for you.
I was actually looking up the birthday song they sing at Olive Garden. You know how like all
Oh,
those
yeah,
chain
what's the
restaurants have
Olive
their
Garden?
horrible birthday song?
All right, that's good.
Wait, just one more time.
No, it's
Sarah. Here's just a little. You can just look up any name on Spotify, and there's a happy birthday song for that.
yeah.
Really?
There's a band called
Not any name. I'm
No,
sure
yeah.
it goes pretty deep into some Armenian names where they don't.
You can, but it's worked every time for any person I've ever known.
All right. It's a
There's one. There's one for Jacqueline, Jon,
Oh,
Cory, and Kevin.
Is there one for Tigranes?
well.
Happy birthday, dear Tigranes. Happy birthday.
You labeled yourself the great until you met Alexander. Anyway, shout out to Armenian history.
Jacqueline, did you like this episode?
It's okay.
I'll say that. How many episodes do you think you've seen? Like 5, you were saying?
Yeah, 5 or 6 now. Yeah.
Where would this stand on the ones that you've seen? How did this make you feel about the series in general?
Okay. I don't dislike anything about the theme or the plot or there's just something lacking for me. Like it just doesn't grab me.
Interesting.
Do you have 3 favorite shows you could just throw out to be like, this is Jacqueline Trumbull's television history?
Magicians, number 1.
Californication,
Yep.
Friends, 6 Feet Under,
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Little
3
darker
also Dexter. Yeah.
than
Okay.
Sex and the City?
Yeah, it's about.
Yeah, but I mean, I love like Friends, Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother, I don't think is like actually that good of a show, but it reminds me of college, so I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people that really love Sex and the City had like some sort of bonding experience with it. And if you don't get me wrong, I'm probably gonna offend some people, but like you can still really like the show, but you love Sex and the City. If it was like a part of an integral part of your life, you know. And if you don't have that, I think you can look at it and kind of appreciate it for what it is. But the people that like moved to New York because of Sex and the City or
Right, which is Friends for me.
Yeah.
Like I watched Friends. If like when I was moving to New York, I obsessively watched Friends. Now that I'm leaving New York, I'm watching Girls because I don't know.
I feel like that's an assessment from a lot of people with girls right there. Like I watched the entire series and think it's a great show.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
but I also
brilliant.
hate watch part of it because I was like,
you
God.
have to hate
because
watch it.
the
people are
characters are
terrible.
written. Yeah, they're written very unlikable.
But it reminds me of my early days in the summer in New York.
Gotcha.
It's always taking place in the summer. It's that like, I mean, I was watching this like Bushwick episode yesterday in the
Is that
first
the one where
season.
she's on the bike and they go to the rave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I would have been so into that 5 years ago. Now I know exactly what an hour there would look like. So I don't go.
Wait, you're right though. It's always in the summer. They don't. Do they have any winter?
They have a winter episode, but it's in like the 4th season.
And it's when she's dating the other
yeah,
guy, and then they walk off together in the snow at the end of the season.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Wait, can I just ask, what's the best piece of acting from this episode? Because I have a very specific answer. You don't need to be.
Okay. Also, the acting in this show is terrible.
But I felt like there
shots
was a
fired.
good piece of acting in
It is
this.
shots fired.
But I agree. I agree with you at
I
times.
think Cynthia Nixon does a phenomenal job a lot of the times.
She's probably the best. Yeah.
Yeah. she's
Well, the 4 main characters I don't have that big of a problem with, but it's the like other.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people
the
like,
asshole boyfriend was like super
Terrible.
awful.
Everybody's
Oh my
written pretty
God.
flat. A lot of the other people
Yeah,
played
yeah.
written.
Well,
played kind of
they're
flat.
like you said earlier, they are one dimensional. They are
Right.
just like an asshole who used to be in a band that dated Carrie, and there's
Right.
no depth to the characters whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, did you guys did any acting stand out? If not, I'll just say my piece.
I mean, I guess if you ask me to think about it, I mean I was gonna say the Charlotte and Trey moment at the end.
Yeah, that's what
it's
I was
good.
thinking.
It's a little. Yeah. I
mean,
would say
I
that.
thought-
I
I
thought she did great.
I mean, I like the story point, but I also thought I'm like Charlotte or Kristen Davis in that moment. She is a character that is a more unbelievable character at times because she's like, I'm super innocent and all this stuff, but her just like
Laying it all out.
laying
Yeah,
it all
that was
out.
really good.
I thought that was very
Yeah,
powerful for
Yeah.
her character.
totally.
Yeah.
And it was not just like her being, I feel like the thing we've seen before with her being like, what? I'm wearing lingerie. And then him being like, oh, Charlotte.
You're my wife.
This was that exact moment only being like, no, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was impacted by it. I thought it played true.
Totally.
Yeah. I also thought the whole Madonna whore thing with Charlotte and Samantha was written and played well.
Yeah.
Because she brought up the whole, because the first time I heard the Madonna or the whore is in the movie Dazed and Confused. There's a whole thing where 2 of the characters are talking about it and they're
What
like,
part? I've seen the movie so many times.
so it's early on in the movie. It's probably in the first third, and it's the blonde-haired girl who is dating Jeremy. The guy that's the Pink, the football
Okay,
guy.
yeah.
It's the blonde-haired girl that's dating him, and then the
Is it
dark.
when they're in the bathroom, like
Yes,
Okay.
and they're talking in the bathroom,
they're
and
talking about
she's like,
Gilligan's Island?
"Yep," and
Got
she's
it.
talking about Mary. She's talking about Marianne, and I forgot her. And she's
Yeah.
like, guys want it both, the Madonna and the whore.
Yep. Okay.
But then so yeah, I thought it was interesting the way they played that, but then they kind of flipped the like when Samantha gets into the thing where she's like showing, I forgot the woman's name, but the lady giving the BJ under the table. And Samantha's
Claren.
like, yeah, Claren. And she's like, I'm not into this. And then they put Charlotte in the place where she's supposed to be. She realizes like, oh, she's way more sexual than her sorority friends. And then she becomes the whore, which is really just her being like a full sexual person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was written and played well.
A lot of that went over my head because I think I'm stupid, but
That's not true. You're
glad
pretty
that
smart.
I'm glad that you pointed that out.
I would say you're maybe the smartest of the 3 of us, the 3 of the
I
boys,
disagree. I think I'm the smartest.
which means you're the stupidest.
Well,
Yeah.
It's
that's
just
your opinion.
it's blind confidence.
Well, it's blind confidence that you would think you're not the stupidest. And you are. Jacqueline, what do you think about it? No,
Speaking of blind confidence, we do in this show we do a podcast within a podcast.
Okay.
which is my cue for Cory to pick up his phone. I'm not sure. Did you ever meet Miranda's serious boyfriend, Steve?
No.
Okay, Kevin, could you just describe Steve? real quick?
Steve wears athletic shorts,
Okay.
no underwear. He goes up for a jump shot. He's been on the step-a-meter.
Wait, is this a person in the show?
He
Yes,
is on the
Miranda's
show.
boyfriend in the
He's
second season.
he's the main character of the entire series, but he was in this episode. His name's Steve. He owns a bar, and he's
bartends.
super sweaty.
Yeah, he plays basketball.
And he is a part of this podcast. Not this
good.
podcast, I'm sorry. The podcast within a podcast that is called Steve Talk.
I think you need to say something about his demeanor as well.
I mean, he's a chill New York guy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he is Miranda's true love. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure him and Miranda end up together.
Okay.
But that's just what I'm wishing into the world.
Have you guys seen the movies?
No.
We're gonna
I
watch
have.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have.
Have you seen him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
So
Or at
he
least
might
I've
be in
seen
the
one.
movie. He might be
I
in the
can't
movie.
remember what I can't
I'll pull up a
remember.
picture of him. But let's go ahead and kick off the podcast and the podcast.
It's a favorite guy. It's Steve Talk.
All right, welcome to Steve Talk, podcast within a podcast. In this episode of Steve Talk, the scene is going to be as follows. Kevin, you can go ahead, or I'm going to have Kevin and Jacqueline, you guys are going to play Miranda and Carrie.
Okay.
And you're at the funeral of Will, and it just so happens that Steve is catering the funeral, the wake.
Gotcha.
And Miranda's going to run into Steve at the wake.
Okay.
and I'm Carrie.
You
No,
can be
I'm
whoever
Carrie.
you want.
I'm Carrie.
Yeah, you're Miranda.
Jacqueline's Carrie because she
Yeah.
relates more with her. Whoa.
Holy
I like
mol-
that.
Okay, ready?
Oh, that's Steve?
Yeah.
Yep. We just showed
That's
a picture of Steve. Okay.
I have so many briefs to file at my law clerk, and I can't believe we have to spend this much time with this. at this funeral.
guys want a shrimp taquito? Oh my God, it's you.
Carrie, who?
That's Steve? Wait, no, I'm so confused about my role in this.
Carrie, it's great to see you and Miranda here at this wake.
Oh,
do you
hey,
guys-
Steve, it's
Hey, would you guys, you guys want some of these bacon wrapped hot dogs? I got this catering gig, and so here, take these. I gotta go back to the kitchen in a second. But the more you eat, the quicker I get off work.
Hey, Steve, can you go get us some more small wiener dogs?
Hey, listen, you can't order me around anymore, okay? Miranda, hey, why don't you shut your little law trap? And Carrie, what would you like to eat?
I definitely do want some of those bacon wrapped
eat 'em up.
wieners.
Here, put some in your purse, okay?
Okay,
Do
thanks.
it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, baby Miranda, I'm sorry I said that to you. You know, I really appreciate
It's
who
fine.
you are.
Can you get some more of that spicy mustard?
Oh my God, who do you think I am, huh? I'm your little lapdog, Carrie. Would you like some grape leaves? They're stuffed with rice.
Love those.
Okay, here, put these in your little clutch.
In my
here.
purse
Put
again?
them in your
Okay,
clutch
thank
and your
you.
purse. You brought two. That was smart of you.
Well, I knew you'd have both.
Miranda, I'm really sorry that I yelled at you earlier. I had a little bit of Powers whiskey beforehand.
I'm glad that you.
Oh, what are you glad? You have no agency over me. Carrie, would you like a skewer?
I brought a third purse.
You got a tote bag. Where did you get
Damn it. You thought of one before I did.
It was, yeah, it's an accessory.
To be honest, I feel like
The Steve Talk theme is not. Let's just all sing the ending of the Steve Talk theme. It's our favorite time. It's our favorite guy. It's Steve Talk.
Miranda.
Well done.
Good job, guys.
For participating.
That was a little theaterish because
Steve Talk,
we had to the
podcast within a podcast.
nothing to be ashamed of about theater.
Yeah, there's nothing
That's
to
true.
be ashamed of.
All right. It's true. I just meant it was like a live interactive experience. Jacqueline, thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
You played a great Carrie.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks.
the last thing that we do is we go around the circle and we rate the episode on a 1 to 5
Cosmos.
scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
If,
so
if you want to think about it,
Yeah.
we could say ours at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, also, our Cosmo rating, as always, for season 3 of the Bradshaw Boys, is sponsored by Absolute Elix. Absolute Elix, the vodka that you should be drinking right now out of an Absolute Elix copper cup.
Mhm.
Go to absoluteelix.com and look up some cocktails.
and if you need a glass to set it on or something to set it on, use a thick Peroni napkin. Also,
There you go. Use a thick Peroni napkin. But have Absolute Helix on top of that napkin.
all right,
cool.
If you had a vodka drink, what would be your favorite one to make right now? 3, 2, go.
I take a seltzer drink. I take a vodka drink. I take a lager drink. I take a seltzer drink. I take a one for the
Corey will take a
I'll have a
one
chumba. I'll have a
Chumbawamba on the
chum.
rocks, please.
I'll have a Chumbawamba straight up.
What is a Chumbawamba?
It's a song that talks about
It's
vodka
vodka.
drinks.
It's a British band, and it's the 90s with a little lime juice.
If I had a vodka drink right now, I think I would take a Cape Codder.
Ooh.
It's a vodka and cranberry with a lime. Jack, what about you?
So maybe one of those like Russian vodka room,
Oh.
like horseradish vodka things with some borscht.
Yeah.
Some man with wearing a turtleneck with like
Yeah.
a scraggly beard,
Ooh,
like a pipe,
That
drinking
is
next to me.
that's a
with a
strong
Russian
one.
accent.
I
I like that. I like that imagery a lot.
Thank you.
We need to do another podcast within podcast called Russian
Called the
Turtleneck.
The borscht
Room.
pat. The
Hello.
borscht
That
cast.
was
called the
great
the
visualization.
Borscht Bar with
Yeah.
Jacqueline Trumbull.
I'd go with speaking of the Russian theme. I'd go with the White Russian.
Oh, there you
White
go.
Russian.
I love a good White
Yeah.
Russian. Kevin, what would you have?
Moscow Mule
Oh, you dog.
with some Absolute Elix.
All right.
All right, let's do our Cosmo rating.
Cosmo rating. The three of us will go at the same time, and then you can go after Jacqueline.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 2.5.
Whoa.
What'd you give it?
4.0.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
2.5, buddies.
2.5. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I give
can't.
it a 2.5.
All right, you guys go first.
Corey's insecure about it.
No, I'm insecure about your rating.
Really?
Yeah, defend it.
great. I love
Defend
it.
your life. Prove me wrong.
The Charlotte storyline was the only storyline from this episode I'll ever remember. Like her last scene with Trey was the entire episode. I rag on Carrie a lot, but I expect her character to carry a lot of the show.
Nice one.
And she was barely in it at all. Her storyline was weak. It was not super believable. Samantha was only a side character to strengthen the Charlotte storyline. And like the Miranda storyline, like she went on a bad date and like Carrie said, "I told you so" to her. Like there wasn't anything there other than like a little bit of resolution with Charlotte and Trey. And don't get me wrong, it was good. If it wasn't like was well performed, I would have given this episode probably like a 1.5 or a 2. But she bumped it up to probably like a 2.53 range. Not my favorite episode. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Mine would be that a frenemy is someone that is actually close to you in your life in a weird way. So why is there not an opportunity for one of the 4 people to be frenemies? And it didn't feel like there were any stakes to any of the frenemies. And so it didn't represent what a frenemy actually is, which is someone that's you're deeply invested in life, but you're actual enemies. So there were no stakes to anyone in this, to me.
Yeah.
And therefore, if this show was not called Frenemies and it was just called, if the episode was called anything else, I wouldn't have even known the theme.
Also, I'm going to steal a little bit of your rating here. The through line of the episode is, are we getting wiser or just older?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that had nothing to do with the frenemy theme. Like go with that. Go with that story rather than, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so it just felt like a lot of it was left on the table. I will say this was the most representative of the actual pain in Charlotte and Trey's relationship. And I felt like that moment was the actual realist moment of being like, fuck. And then they also had a minute and a half of sex. And that made sense at the end of the episode because I was like, man, she's like putting it out there and really trying. And that was like, oh, it would have really sucked if that ended by him being like, oh, Charlotte, quit being a charlatan. And so I'm glad that didn't happen because it honestly felt like, wow, this is a great little scene. But that was the only thing in the episode that I think I'll ever remember. And I don't hold it against this episode because I feel like it's just like, hey, we covered a lot of ground and now we're in reset mode, and then we're going to set back up for the next thing. So it wasn't bad, but it just was not, it didn't add up to anything significant for me besides that scene.
I think I'm a big fan of themes. I agree with Jon saying that I don't think they stuck very well with are we getting older and not wiser. I don't feel like they really touched on that much at all, except I guess if you think about Miranda is dating a guy that Carrie dated, and she could have known better. She could have believed Carrie in terms of the guy is a jerk, but that seemed seemed like a pretty normal storyline. The things that bumped it up for me were I really liked the Madonna and the whore thing between Charlotte and
I want to rewatch it now.
And they were actual frenemies. Charlotte and Samantha were 100% frenemies. They were such frenemies that Charlotte and Miranda had to like extricate themselves from the fight at brunch, and then Miranda and Carrie had a whole walk where Carrie was like, oh my gosh, that completely, or maybe it was Miranda and Carrie and Charlotte, but she was like, that completely ruined brunch. So they had a whole friend and fighting thing. I think the Trey and Charlotte thing was really strong, and there was really good acting and also just like good emotional storyline with them.
I want to push back a little bit here on you. I think Frenemies needs to be more than just a fight at brunch. Frenemies needs to like be, it needs to be deeper than just like a disagreement and someone getting their feelings hurt at brunch.
Well, I'll push back on you. I agree with that, but I'll push back on you and say there was that. And then she was like, well, what do you want to say to me? And it was an actual like confrontation. And then the first person she called when she ended up having sex was Samantha. And she,
are we frenemies?
Maybe we were frenemies.
This is pretty great.
But no, there's a thing where like I think they actually did like I've seen that happen.
It felt like an argument. It felt like them like blowing up at each other, then apologizing.
Yeah, but I agree. I don't think it warrants an entire episode title.
Okay.
But I do think they were out of those friends. I think they were frenemies.
Yeah, and I think they do have tension.
They have had shit in the past.
They have had shit in the past. And I also think that you could say that the Carrie Miranda thing, even though they weren't at odds with each other, there can be a little frenemies thing where she's like, she's dating her ex, but like, fine, it's okay, but I told you so. So I think that's there. And then, I don't know, the Trey stuff was
that's
good.
just tossing around the term frenemies too lightly.
I agree with that as his title. But the other thing I think is the Carrie thing, the Learning Annex thing. The reason I give that points is because that was a real thing. That's a time of New York. That's like a very New York thing, is Learning Annex classes. And also Carrie basically did the pickup artist before that was a thing. She took a group of ladies to do the pickup artist at a bar.
You think they were negging guys?
They were negging dudes. Everyone was freaking peacocking. They were all wearing like dumb little hats. I was at a bar one time where someone was pickup artisting, and they tried to pick up mine and my friend's girlfriends.
Can we do a boots in the ground episode where we go out and we try to pick up artists?
Only if Jacqueline will come with us.
Can you come with us?
Definitely. That sounds so fun because I don't know what an hour.
Will that be a predictable hour? Seen as a big
you
dumb
don't know what
suede
that hour.
hats?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Okay. So let's get to your rating.
I was going to say 3.
Okay.
I was pretty persuaded, I think, by Jon's critique, especially. I mean, I think the fact that we're spending so much time like talking about the title and how it didn't live up to the title is kind of evidence that like maybe this was a bit of a shallow episode. Like we don't have much more to talk about. I think the Virgin Madonna or the Virgin Whore thing was certainly interesting. It was definitely the most interesting part of the episode. And one thing that I'm like, do I grapple with that? Because I know my friend does, who's she got married today.
Congratulations.
Wow. Congratulations.
She eloped.
I'm
She
Sarah
eloped
Jessica
today.
Parker's birthday of all days.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, she eloped today. She's not considering it a marriage, but it's a long story. But yeah, I mean, she like found sort of accidentally, her now husband like talking about like, with his like buddies, and they were like so throwing around pictures of women in like super slutty, outfits, and then would talk about her in such a different way, and it was like degradation to women who were like showing off their bodies, and then but it felt degrading to my friend too, because she's like, why don't I get to be sexualized? And I'm like, I don't want to be sexualized, but at the same time, why am I in a completely different camp? So yeah, I mean, women I guess deal with that kind of thing a lot. And the resolution was kind of cool. But the rest of it was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you want to dig into that theme way more. That it's like, if it was called Virgin and the Whore, you'd be like, yeah, like.
Right, yeah.
If it was called Like a Virgin, Like a Whore.
Also, why was Charlotte suddenly upset with Samantha's whole thing like 3 seasons into the show. Like we
Well,
know
they've been-
Samantha's
I feel like
MO.
they've kind of been at each other's throats a little bit
Oh, really? Okay.
before, but this was it came to a head way more here.
But I think it's the weight of
Yeah,
Samantha
that's true.
realizing that her marriage isn't working because of sex, and then
The weight of Charlotte.
Charlotte's
Yeah.
the weight of Charlotte realizing that her marriage isn't working because of this thing.
Yeah.
And then seeing Samantha just so casually toss this thing that she's holding, not only holding sacred, but it's weighing her down. Like made her, I think, act that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I definitely, we could talk about that more. It was that scene was interesting if you think about like why they both reacted and responded that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think if I had to go back and adjust my rating, I would go down to a 3.5 of the lowest, but I still think it's at least a 3.5.
Okay. Awesome. Great. This was a super fun episode. Jacqueline, where can we find you on social media's stuff?
I'm at Trumbellina.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Trumbellina.
On Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you so much for doing this, Jacqueline.
Thanks for having me,
Thank you
guys.
so much for coming and doing this.
Thank
this was
you
so
guys.
much fun.
Enjoy. Go to our iTunes and rate us, and check out our Patreon. We have episodes up there now, so check out extra episodes on the Patreon.
And if you go to the Bradshaw Boys NYC at gmail.com,
You can
send us an email
Yep.
and you can be your own Patreon episode.
Ooh.
And we'll talk about your email for 20 to 72 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Jon Sieber, and Kevin James Doyle. The show is produced by Jeremy L. Balin. For more information on the guys, check out their website at bradshawboys.com, on social media at The Bradshaw Boys, and if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.